Okay, so I'm just going to take a very quick look at WPCodeBox, which I got about a week ago. I really like it. I think seems like it's fairly early in its development. There are some things that need improving, a few bugs, a few things that probably need some rethinking. But overall, it's on the right path. It does what we needed to do. There's just a few quirks that I'd like to point out, more so the developer can work on these and maybe make some improvements if he sees fit. But pricing wise, it's pretty good. It's where are we? It's 149 US, unlimited sites, unlimited storage for lifetime. So it's pretty good as far as the pricing goes. UI wise, so if we go to the WordPress backend, we get our WPCodeBox option on the admin bar. A few things in here. It doesn't use all of the screen real estate, so we've got this big gap at the bottom. I'm not sure what that's all about. I'm zoomed in a little bit here so that we can see. So I've got less real estate than what I would normally have, but I think it could be improved. Now, the only thing you can collapse is this edit snippet here. You can collapse that window there. You cannot collapse this window here where it's got the new snippet repository settings, support, etc. Under the settings, when you first install it, your API key comes with the installer, which gives you read and write access to the cloud. You can create another key that you can put in there which only has read access. I'm going to talk a little bit about the issue I've got with that and something I think they need to improve with that. I'm not really worried about moving where this option sits. Ask for uploading to the cloud by default. That's unchecked. I think that should be checked by default. And enable dark mode. Always like dark mode. And basically, you've got two options for your layout. So one of the sidebars on the left, one on the right, or both on the left. Defaults to the left. So if you want more screen real estate, you can actually go to their repository, code box, and you can download the snippet and then basically enable the snippet. Enable it by clicking on the button up here. Okay, for some reason, this is some of the buggy stuff. Some stuff just doesn't work properly when you click on it. Now, I don't know if this is because I'm zoomed. Let me just try zooming back a bit. No, won't let me enable it. So this was working perfectly before. Just going to refresh the page. Yeah, so there's a bug that I hadn't experienced previously and wasn't aware of. And by the way, I've enabled it, but we haven't gone full width. So now it has to press the F5 key. And now we've gone full width, but there's no way to get back to having the admin bar unless you go back to this menu. You go into the code box and it's full width. I mean, no big deal, but you know, like the Elementor theme builder or with bricks, when you're in a builder, you get a little exit to dashboard or something to close this. It'd be nice if CodeBox had something more natively built in rather than having to download and install a snippet, have that as an option in the settings in here and have some way of exiting out of that or toggling whether that bar's on or off. So I'm just going to disable that now and I've got to press the F5 key again to get my menu bar back. Right, so that's the first UI issue that I've got. As I say, I wish it was more manageable for both the width and the height because there's a lot of wasted real estate down here. Now, by default, you get this cloud. And I've actually uploaded a bunch of snippets to the cloud. And it's simple as, if I create a new snippet, call this a test snippet, make it a PHP, and I'm just going to put PHP and save that. And now I can just right click and upload that to the cloud. See there? It didn't ask me. I've got in the settings here, I've said ask before uploading. But if I right click on that and say upload to cloud, it doesn't ask me, it just does it. But if I click Upload to Cloud here, it asks me. So there's a UI bug where the right-click context menu in the list just ignores the settings, whereas the upload button over here actually works. Now the other thing here, I've uploaded the same script twice and it's in there twice, which it didn't do previously as well. So I don't know if that's because it's PHP, where the other things I tried was JavaScript. Let's try JavaScript. I'm just going to do a new snippet, call it test.js, make it a JavaScript, and save that. Try uploading to the cloud. I upload there, yes. There's my JavaScript there in the cloud. I do upload to cloud again, yes. I've only got the one file. I think it's probably here. If I now upload to cloud there, oh, it's working fine. I wonder if I delete that, if I right click and then upload to cloud, so that just did it. And then if I then upload to cloud from here, oh, so it looks like for JavaScript, it's recognized that it's already there. For PHP, it didn't. It just made a second copy of it. So that's one extra bug that I wasn't even aware of. All right, so the local JavaScript, great. So if I say new JavaScript, call this my test.js, I want it to be inline JavaScript, minify the output, and put it in the footer. And let's say I only want this on my home page. I'm going to open the condition builder. I'm just going to put if the current post is home. I don't have one called home page. I can't remember what it's called. I'll just say I only want this on the hover on change back on hover page. So save that. All right. So now I've got this script, this test.js, loading only on that one page. Actually, no, it didn't save it. There you go, another bug. Try it again. So if I say it is in the footer and custom, I'll just put it on that page, save and close. That's why I didn't save. You've got to press the save button here to save these changes. But minify, save and close. I go somewhere else, come back again, I'm minified, and I'm in the footer. All right, let's move this to a folder. I'm going to create a folder called my test. Okay, and I'm going to move that JS folder, file I just created, into my test. So there it is there. Under my test, I've got test.js. If I click on that and upload, it goes to the root. It doesn't actually realize that it's sitting under that folder. So if I delete that, if I upload the entire folder, then I've got my test with test.js under it. If I delete that local folder, and then I get just this JS test and I download that from the cloud, it sticks it in the root. It'd be good if it actually respected what folder it was in. So, because like, for example, in here, Elementor, I've got a folder. I've got a bunch of scripts I've put in here. So I've either got to create a local folder called Elementor, and if I only want one of these, then just download that one and then drag it into the folder, or I've got to download the entire folder. So that's something I wish was better. So let's take that again. I'll just delete that again. Okay, and we're going to download this entire folder. My test. Now, if I look at my test.js, it's in the header, no minification, and no conditions. Let's do it again. So I'm going to say I want that to be in the footer. I want it to be minified. Let's not even bother setting conditions. So I want to be in the footer and I want it to be minified. Save that. Go back to it. Minified in footer. If I upload that, it didn't even work. Right click, didn't even work then. So I think I saw this error before. So if I right click on that and upload, I'm getting a JavaScript error. But if I click on upload to cloud from there, then it works. So let's go through that again. So now I've got this test.js here, which is minified and in the footer, right? I've uploaded that to the cloud. Now if I delete this, which is not letting me do on that either. So if I right click and delete, this context menu isn't working. So if I just click on it and then click delete up here, then it does work. Lots and lots of little quirky things. I mean, again, it works, but it's very, very quirky. So now if I download this here, again, it's gone outside of the My Test folder. If I click on it, it's not minified and it's in the header. Now, where this becomes an issue for me is that, let's say you've got JavaScripts that need to be in the footer, otherwise they'll cause errors. The settings are not being attached to that script. So when you download it from the cloud, you've got to remember to go through and set that to be in the footer, minify whatever you want, and then set your conditions. So it'd be good if when you set settings on the scripts, the minify, the location and the order, all that sort of stuff, and you upload it to the cloud, if those settings could attach to that file, it would be really good because you're going to have less errors as you try and work with this code. All right, so I'm just going to delete that just to clean things up. I'll show you why this becomes a problem for me. Oops, we don't want to delete the site one, we just want to delete this one. Okay, so we're back to where we started. So let's say I want all of my Elemental stuff downloaded. If I click my Cloud Elemental folder and download, okay, this animate and viewport script, because of the way this is working, I want it in the footer. And I want it to be minified just to help us with the code. So I want to actually go minify, and I want to put that in the footer and then save that. Now, that's going to work, but if I just downloaded this folder and then I went to the front end, it's going to generate JavaScript errors because this needs to be in the footer. So that's why I want these settings to be attached to the actual script. These here, again, minify isn't set. Minify is not set there. Minify is not set there. But in my initial upload, they were. Okay, so also we have to enable them once we download them. So you can easily enable them by clicking this little switch and then just click on these buttons here, or you can select individual ones and enable, disable with the button up the top. So it is a nice little plugin. It does do all this sort of stuff, but there are some quirks. So that's the UI stuff that I'm having issues with there. Now, the other thing I'd love to see them do is that I've got in my settings here, I've got ask before uploading to the cloud. Now, if I have other developers I'm working with or staff members that are sort of level 1, level 2, and I don't want them uploading to my cloud and overwriting my cloud snippets, what I have to do is I have to get a different API key, which I put in here, which doesn't have write access to the cloud. It just has read access from the cloud. So I've got to remember to do that for every site where I don't want others to be able to upload to the cloud. I think what would be better is if when you go to upload to the cloud, so if I get this here, animate viewport there, if I click on upload to the cloud, I'd rather it ask me for a password or a PIN number there to upload to the cloud. Then I don't have to worry about API keys, and I only give that password or PIN number to those that I want to be able to upload to the cloud. So scenario might be, let's say we've got a JavaScript here, it works beautifully. We get some person in there and he goes in there and mucks around with all the code and hits upload to cloud. Next time we download this script from the cloud, it's broken because they've been allowed to edit it and there is no version control. So I can't go back to my previous version. So that's my concern about the security of this with uploading to cloud. So putting a PIN number on or a password on when you're uploading to cloud would be my preference for how this would work rather than changing the API key. That would be a better way of doing it. All right, so that's that. Now, the other thing that I'm not really keen on is the code completion. So for PHP, I've got all the WordPress code completion there. So as you type, get add action. It doesn't do a complete code completion, but at least you've got access to the function names or method names. So that's pretty good. The problem I've got here is if I define a variable, test equals A, right? And then down here I try and reference test, no code completion. If I said function got a function, function test, and then I try to access that function. There is no code completion for that. And this is true for all of the languages. So it doesn't matter whether you're CSS, JavaScript, SCSS, whatever. So for example, for CSS, I should be able to do this. Okay, so I've created a test and I've created a test1 equals red. So if I dot test, and I type var 2 dashes, no code completion. I have to actually go up here and copy that into there. Now, most of the code completion I see in page builders, like even Elementor, when you define a CSS variable, you get that for your code completion. When you define a function in JavaScript or a variable in JavaScript, it shows up for your code completion. But it doesn't do that here. So that's pretty weak. I hope they improve the code completion on this. But yeah, so those are the main things that I'm concerned about. So in summary, it's the kind of some of the UI bugs with uploading and downloading. If you right click and upload or whatever, that just doesn't work. If it does work, it ignores this ask before uploading. Even deleting, sometimes if you right click to delete, it just won't work. But if you click the delete button up here, it does work. Uploading to the cloud doesn't respect, and downloading from the cloud doesn't respect the folder path. So it just sticks it, if you just grab a single item, it just downloads it to the root rather than respecting the folder path. And it does not attach these settings. There's another bug. So as I'm clicking on these things here, so I've got my settings here, I've got to toggle that out of the way to get these settings to be in view. So here I've got minify and put it in the footer. I upload that to the cloud, these settings don't get attached to it. So little things like that I think just really need tidying up. And these sort of things, I mean, definitely this thing is on the right path. I can manage all of my JavaScript, my CSS, SCSS, my PHP. So if I've got some basic shortcodes like getting formatted dates, WooCommerce overrides, some form focused stuff. Actually, I've deleted that, so I better download that. Here we go. So I've downloaded that. Click on it. It's not enabled, so I've got to enable it. And we want to stick that in the header because of the way this works. So It'd be nice if that just remembered that. For the moment, I think what I'm going to have to do is add some comment blocks to this to say whether it's got to be in the header or the footer, or we're going to get that messed up. So yeah, so that's the things. There's some basic UI layout stuff, the way we upload and download to the cloud, and the code completions are my main bugbears with this. Understanding the quirks, understanding how you get around them. It's still usable, so it's still a very good plugin for managing your code, but it definitely needs some tidy up. So hopefully that is something that makes sense, and I'm really hopeful the developer's going to put some work into some of these things. I feel that they will, and this will just get better. Thank you.